We are back for another round of this goodness. I'm going to get this eye cleaned up and get it ready for reinstallation. I was able to get the tool that I needed to get this settings right. Came in a little early. I overnighted it. So it would have been a little easier to get that thing out of there with the tool, but we'll make it work. So unlike Volvos, like this is similar to a Volvo setup where they got a grease fitting up here on top. I don't think these are meant to be greased. But what I'm going to do is just grease the piss at it when I go to finish it. And I suspect that'll be just fine. Figure this one's been in here since the beginning when it was made. Alright, well here's the tool that I got from it's called National Warehouse or National Racing or something like that. Anyway, they overnighted it to me, $100 for a tool, so we'll see how it works. Anyway, GM's calling for 400 pounds or 406 on this nut right here, and that's once you get everything in there. And then once you put that torque on there, if you can't turn the knuckle, then you got to put these shims in there. So I'll probably, I don't know, we'll see how bad it is. If it does it, there's quite a few of them there, but I'll get all this put together and we'll put the Kingpin in there and torque it with no shims to start with, and then we'll go from there. So let me get the camera set up and we'll get it all put together. See where we go. So we got one that sits like this and one that sits like that. I believe it was the smaller one that goes on the bottom. There's a little black one. They give you a new one in the kit. It goes like that, and then this one with the blue and the space on it goes like so. And so, but they got to be facing the spindle, not the eye, so they don't go like this. I don't think. I'm pretty sure it said that it goes like that, so, or it's facing down to the spindle. So. This is probably going to be a huge pain in the ass. I don't know how in the fuck that's going to happen. Maybe I'll put the bottom one in first. Seems like it's a little... See, you'd want to put it in like so, but it says that it goes like that. That's how it says it's supposed to go. Give me the line. I think this one's going to be a little easier to deal with. Almost makes me want to put a jack under there. I may have to do that to get that sucker in there. Because she definitely don't want to go. Let me get a jack, because I think that's going to make it a little easier. Maybe I can wiggle it in there. Really what I'm trying to do is just push up enough on that to see if I can get yeah, that seems to help a little bit. Much better. So all I was really after was just trying to center this. I'll show you here in a minute as soon as I get it done. So all I was after, that's I'm going to call it a gasket, but it serves as a, looks like it serves as a spacer as well. So that round piece that goes underneath the bearing. And then, if you have to, they give you these little shims. I think they're 10/1000ths of an inch. And they're going to sit something like that, depending on how you need it. And they won't go nowhere because the Kingpin holds them in place. So, I think we're good all the way down there. Yeah. So, I'm not going to put these in yet. What I'm going to do is, now, let's get something to get it out of there. There we go. I'm going to put it all together, put the Kingpin in there, put the bearing and that metal spacer, and then I'm going to crank it down. I got to put that tool on the bottom. This here goes on the bottom. I'm going to put that on the bottom of it and then put that 400 foot-pounds on there and then see if this will rotate. Like I said, all I'm doing is putting this shit in dry right at the moment because I want to get my tool in here. And so as long as that's lined up, that's where we had it before. Let me make sure. Yeah. So just over 400. There's 400. It's not bad. I don't want to. I got 3 down in there now. Decisions. So I got just a little needle type thing to inject the grease down into, just down into the bearing. It works pretty good. Feel it up with some. This is why I didn't want to do that, because I want to do it dry, because if I get grease, I mean, this shit will get everywhere. So I'll get my spec first and then we'll go from there. Let me roll this around a little bit. Let me hit the bottom here. So now I'm just going to start filling this hole. Just enough. Just enough. There we go. She moves pretty decent. Got a little bit of tension, but it's smooth as well, and it don't knock anymore. And that bad boy don't move, so I'm happy about that. I'll probably put a little bit more grease in there. And when I get done, I'll just grease the chassis. So I plan on doing that anyway. It's been sitting for a little bit. So, and we just put everything back together for the most part. I just think to myself, I bet you I could forget to do that if I really wanted to. Then you get the goddamn hub on there and realize that you forgot to put the brake thing on. I do not do stuff like that. I know me. I don't remember what size either. I think they're 30. Could be wrong. 24 it is. On there. Here we go. Three-quarter will pop those bolts, so you gotta be real. There we go. Not too bad at all. Anyway, what I was saying is, anytime I get where I don't have a spec on the bearings, like the wheel seal or the wheel hubs, I always do it with a dial indicator. That's just how I've always done it. So, that's what will happen on this one too. I couldn't find any specs on it, or at least nothing reliable. I don't rely on Facebook or whatever. Can't get nothing accurate out of that. If it's wrong, you ain't got no way to fall back on. So. That being said, because I don't have a spec on it, you can usually guess, but we're going to do it with a dial indicator. And we're going to say if we're 4/1000ths of an inch, that ought to be plenty, where the seal won't leak, at least the way I see it. 4/1000ths of an inch ought to be pretty acceptable. So that's what we're going to base that on, is 4/1000ths of an inch. back on the Kingpin deal. We had what they required, 400. If I still couldn't get it in, I would have had to replace that spindle. I'm not going to put 9 freaking things in there. A couple maybe, that's pretty good, but clean up this little spindle here. Alright. I think I've got. So here's a new seal. And it's just a oil seal, all it is. Nothing spectacular. And I run a little bit of lube on the. I just run a little bead around it like so. So it's slippery, but not too slippery. And I'll put a little bit on the inside to make it a little bit. That's just what I use, this little tube here. Just something to make it where it don't pinch. So there we go. Let me get the bearing down in there. Let me get some grease or oil. Run some oil on that bearing. Nothing spectacular, just something to make it juicy. And we'll grab our seal. And no, I do not have a special seal driver. I've never had one. You know, the way I look at seals, and y'all might think this is weird, but there's technique involved in many things, not just seals. So it'd be the same as if you say, oh, you need a special tool all the time for seals and whatnot. Well, you know, if there's technique involved, sure, in every situation, you know, it'd be like wiping your ass. If you're not careful, you put your finger in your butthole. I mean, there's technique to it. So just, you know, just take it easy, and you know, it'll happen. Rocket science. All these guys are just getting a freaking hurry. You know, there's a place for that seal to sit. So, there's technique. It's not the end of the world if you don't use a specialty tool for every damn thing. I mean, I understand specialty tools when they're needed, but sometimes technique, even with a specialty tool, you can screw something up. So. So I will most likely do a, I don't know, a 250 preload. So we set the bearing, I mean the seal. 250 ought to be pretty good. So I think we're going to do a 250 preload on it, come back, rotate it, do another 250. Yeah, I might take that after the second 250. I might do a 180, maybe a 150. Yeah, and then from there we'll put the I might be able to do it right here. Just kind of get my feed from right here. I forgot what I said I'm going to do. $250 for the preload. Back it off, you know, a little bit, and then rotate the drum or the hub, and then we'll go, I don't know, maybe I'll do 180. Alright, so I got my little torque wrench out because my snappy, it doesn't do well with low settings, so we're going to smash this one down here. And I'm going to do probably, I don't know, at least 250. So, and that ought to give us pretty good preload. So there's 250. Probably can't see it, but you have to trust me. Straight down with it. Alright, let's go for the click. Should probably not rotate very well. There's 250. That's our preload. She's pretty stuck. There's 250. So we're going to go and take that off. We're not going to come back all the way. Just a little bit. Now we're going to be after, we're going to do, I'll go 180, 150, because we've already got our preload. Alright, we're after 150 now. There she is. One more time. Alright, now we're going to come back and take that off. Just like so. I'm betting that we're going to be looking at about 75 for a final torque measure. So she moves just about 4 right there. So we should be good to go. If you too much on there, like you burn the bearing up, and too little, and you're not doing anything. You're not bearings probably aren't even spinning. So 4/1000 of an inch really ought to be plenty. Let's see here one more time. Oh, I got too much on now. So we're little bit more. Alright, so I rotated it about 20 times or so, just rotating it. And so, my chair over here. Hit that one more time. See where we stand. So it looked like a 4 to me, didn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I could probably get 5. A little bit tighter. Here's a 4. Here's a 5. I have to get my wrench on it. Alright, I put my wrench on it that time. Let's see what we got. So we got, looks like 4, doesn't it? Trying not to roll the damn thing. Here we go. Yeah. So we're within 3 or 4 thousandths, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna leave it just like that. Alright, so our torque specs, right where it sits, see, I get 4 out of that. And so our torque specs on that, let me see, was at 50. And that gave us 4 thousandths of an inch. So I'd say we're pretty well right on, because our little deal here, I got a new one of these little lock pins. She goes right on up in there, so it's good. It's super important to pay attention to torque specs. And I do mean important. One wrong move and the whole thing's a loss. So I think the ending final torque spec was just a little over 50. I don't have a digital torque wrench, so just a little bit over 50. Well, we'll call it that. So I'm happy with it, because we did the preload and backed it off a little bit. Anyway, what I was going to tell you guys is that something that you could pay attention to was the bulk. I'm not going to change these out because I already looked at all these, but you can look at them and see if they've been gouged out by the rim. They'll have a little gouge in them, you know, all the way around where the rim kind of rolls around in there. All these look good, so I'm not going to change any of them, but that's an important piece of information. So let me get a cap put on there and get some awl in there. So I'm just going to replace it with just a plastic hubcap. I probably could have got metal ones, but it's just what I have on the truck. No sense in changing it. I already got them on the truck, so. I haven't decided if I'm going to record the other side or not. Maybe. Maybe. Little gun on it. It barely has enough to tighten them down. I mean, it tightens them down, but it won't, like, you know, I mean, it could break them if you really went after it. Important piece of the pie is to put oil in them, because I've seen these done where they'll do everything and then they forget to put oil in them. So, like I said, I just use regular old hub oil. And I buy it by the bucket, so I just refill these bottles. Just thing I keep on the trick. Before I put the hubcap back on, like the outside where the tire goes, tomorrow I'll come back to this and recheck this. So that way all that oil's had time to get down into those bearings. I think by tomorrow. If it was like a truck, you know, or if it was a big truck, I'd put half a bottle in there, because that's about what they take. Most of your big trucks, like semis, half a bottle of those hub oils will usually fill it. So the rest of it is just putting the brakes back together and putting the rims back, or the tires back on there. I'm going to do the other side. I still want to do my shocks. I'll probably do those while I've got it up in the air, just because it's real simple to get to like that. And all I use for those is big truck shocks. They're just for the rears, just the way they mount. They're perfect. Same bushings and everything. So I've always, even my service truck is the same thing I use for the fronts on that one. It's just it works, so I just go with it. Maybe it's cheaper, but I don't know. It might be cheaper to get medium duty stuff, but sometimes it's easier because it's easier to come by. So other than that, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to film the other side, but I'm going to put all this shit back together. And I got to do the other side, and then I still got to put the tie rod on and the drag link and whatnot. But you don't move no more. I'm happy about that. I think it was the shorter ones on the top and the longer ones on the bottom, I believe. I have been wrong before. I think these were a 30 millimeter. Let me go get a wrench. I didn't record me putting those bolts on because it's a real tragedy. I've got brakes for this front, but I'm not going to put them on now because these are still in pretty good shape. So we're just going to ride them. Come on, baby, let me have it. There you go. Oh, there's a hole. If I didn't have to, so that's why I did it the way I did it. Like it or not, I don't give a shit. real pain in the butt to get it back in. Ratchet, that's what I meant to say. So anyway, that's that. There's the brakes set up like they're supposed to be, lubed up. So we got the tie rod put on, the drag link. So I do believe we are ready for rims and tires. So